everything.
Right now, I mean, everybody just plays their heart out. They just want to make it to the next game.
Tenacious, tough, and talented. That's what we're witnessing in the women's game when it comes to the big dance. And of course, Birmingham and the Magic City has a courtside seat. Legacy Arena hosting Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games as teams vie for a spot in the women's Final Four.
North South Carolina, Duke, Texas, Tennessee, Maryland, TCU. I mean, it's going to be some great women's basketball.
And those teams have not disappointed. So far, South Carolina has punched its ticket as the Gamecocks won 2 games by 4 points each, including yesterday's 54-50 victory over Duke to move on.
I think the fact that we had close games and had to pull through, like, those are also teaching moments for in case it gets close. Hopefully it's not close in Tampa, but they're going to be tough games again.
It's just amazing. I feel like it just feels different than it's ever felt before. We just work so hard, and we're just so happy.
South Carolina will be making a 5th straight appearance to a Final Four as the Gamecocks try to repeat as national champs. Now later today, it's a Lone Star State showdown as Texas out of the SEC beat Tennessee 63-58 in the Sweet 16, and the Horns will face off against TCU as the Horned Frogs took down Notre Dame 71-62 to move on to the regional final today at the BJCC. UCLA is the second team to earn a spot in the Final Four. 2 more teams on the ladies tournament will do so today as well. Some unbelievable efforts that we've seen in the women's tournament so far. Alabama and Maryland, you might recall, played to 2 overtimes with the Crimson Tide falling 111-108 a week ago today.
Just the opportunity to play for Alabama and represent Alabama. 45 points is a lot.
Bama Sarah Ashley Barker scored 45 points in the loss. That's the 4th most in tournament history.
Williams, Flage, and Morrow for LSU. Morrow took a shot. Morrow still slow to get up.
Did you see this? LSU's Anisha Morrow suffered a broken nose on that play. She went back to the locker room, but would later return. And we got to mention the Troy women. The Trojans beat North Texas in overtime and will play North Dakota State tonight in the women's NIT Grade 8. And last week, Auburn University introduced Larry Vickers as the Tigers' new women's head basketball coach. Okay, to the men's tournament. Now we've got some good news and bad news. First, the bad. Bama loses to Duke in the Elite 8, 85-65 over the weekend as the season ends for the Tide at 28-9.
Only one team's going to end up cutting the nuts down in San Antonio. Won't be us this year. I told our guys we've raised this program to a level where the standard's really high.
Meanwhile, Auburn cut down the nets in Atlanta yesterday as winners of the South Regional, 70-64 over Michigan State.
This was a part of our plans, one of our goals, and similar type of ladder in front of, all the Auburn fans still being there, traveling, and, witnessing it as well, and, looking down and seeing my teammates, the whole Auburn family. It just means the world to me.
There are 4 teams in the country that are left, and Auburn is one of them. And so we couldn't be happier.
Auburn has now advanced to its 2nd Final Four in the last 6 seasons, and just for the 2nd time ever, all 4 number 1 seeds are moving on in the men's tournament. We're talking about the Tigers, of course, Duke, Florida, and Houston, all moving on to San Antonio. Hope you enjoy the rest of the season. Still lots of basketball to be played, and it's been fun this year.
Good, a big hand.
Our players.
I want to welcome everybody to the March 31st meeting of the Greater Birmingham Tip-Off Club, our final meeting of the season, and I appreciate everybody braving the storms and the weather to get here, and we're glad to see everyone. It's another huge basketball week, obviously with the women's regional just blocks away at Legacy Arena. That's been huge for the city. I know many of you have been involved as volunteers and as fans, and I hope to see many of you there tonight as well. Of course, we've got the Auburn men, as Sheldon mentioned, going to the Final Four. The Alabama men to the Elite 8, and then before they were eliminated. So lots of action this week, and it was a fun week for sure. We'll find out tonight, Texas or TCU, which one advances to the Final Four, along with South Carolina out of Birmingham. So we've got 2 of the Final Four coming out of Legacy Arena. It's been a fun week, and I hope you were with us last week. We had a really great program. We had a UAB panel with several greats from the Blazer program, Steve Mitchell, Murray Bartow, Mo Finley. Kevin did just a remarkable job with that setup kind of at the last minute after Andy Kennedy was tied up with his NIT game in California and couldn't get here. So we just had a great program. We also honored Hoover's Salim London as our Player of the Week, soon to be playing for UAB. And we presented a special award last week to Birmingham's own world champion, Jalen Sherrod with the New York Liberty, and that was a great way to honor her as well. We're closing our year with another big meeting today, a celebration of women's basketball with our roundtable. We've got some leaders in women's basketball from around the country and locally as well, and we're really thrilled to have all 5 of you with us today and looking forward to this program. I want to thank our board of directors for their work this year. We've had a really good club year. I want to especially thank Leslie Claybrook, who helped put this panel together. In fact, she did put this panel together. And Leslie, we appreciate you very much for the work you. Let's give her a hand on that. But we'll hear from our panel. We're also going to honor a number of our high school teams locally, coaches and players that made it to the Final Four this year, and we want to recognize them, and we'll do that shortly. As I mentioned, it's been a big year. We've had great programs, I think, throughout. We've increased our membership, and we need to continue to do that, but we took a nice jump this year with our membership. You'll be receiving a survey. We want you to tell us what we can do to make the club better, so watch for that via email, and I encourage you to respond, and let us know about your ideas and ideas for new members, for programs. Just try to be creative and think of some ways that we can continue to grow this club. We started our partnership with Lakeshore this year, which I think is really going to be a big deal as we continue to grow that, and we're looking forward to big things with the folks at Lakeshore, Greg. So we'll get busy on that during the off season. We want to thank our sponsors, particularly the Alabama Power, who sponsored our speaker series, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department also, and we appreciate their contributions to our club this year. Hubert Morrison, I believe, is here for our invocation. Hubert, if you'll work your way up. Where is he? There he comes.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for being with us today. We thank you for the opportunity to meet and for those who planned and organized our meetings. We thank you for our meal and for those who prepared and served it. We thank you for our speakers this year and for their contributions to basketball. We thank you for our elementary, middle school, high school, and college coaches and for the contributions they make to our youth. We thank you for the lessons we learned through basketball. Lessons about how to play as a team, how to win, how to lose, and how to work hard to do our best. We thank you for each person here, and we pray for good health and safety for them and their loved ones. We acknowledge that all good things come from you, and we give you our thanks. In your name we pray. Amen. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Hubert. We appreciate that. And now to present a report from our nominating committee, I'll introduce board member Harry Bayer. Harry?
As a member of the nominating committee who is not up for any re-election or anything today, I'd like to present the slate of officers and board members that we've chosen. If there are, after I get through, if there's any body that wants to be, if you want to nominate anybody from the floor, please do so at that time. But with that, would like to go on and say that we've got a brand new person being our new president this year. Scotty Colson is here. And please stand when you're, I'm not sure I've seen Scotty. We got him to come out of retirement, and we're so pleased with that. The other ones, please stand also. Vice President C.J. Glover. And Secretary Bruce Petway. And Treasurer Jim Conrad. And for renominating some for the board, too, Dick Coffey. Of course, Scotty and Jim. And then new board members, I saw Frank Young somewhere around here. There. Frank, aren't you a charter? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, and I was too, fortunately or unfortunately. I don't think I've seen Ed Meyerson. He would be the next board member nominated. He is a charter also, I remember. And then Greg Johnson. There you go. He's always back there. Greg has been very, very much involved with Lakeshore over the years, and we are so glad to have you. And he's been on a couple of committees this year too. This is what we came up with. Is anybody that wants to nominate themselves or somebody else to the board? If not, if there's no, I don't think we really need to vote. Everybody say yes. That's our new board and officers.
Thank you, Harry, very much. I appreciate everybody being willing to serve. It's important to our club, and appreciate you stepping up and being willing to serve. I also encourage everybody, when you get that survey, we'll have committee opportunities, and many of you are already involved in communities, in committees, and I encourage you to take a look at those and think about where your interests lie, and let's get more and more folks involved and help this club grow. All right, we've moved our MC down to the floor today, but he's going to come up top. Kevin Skarbinski. What a great year Kevin has brought to us.
I don't have those kind of hops anymore. Not that I ever did. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, everyone. Getting older, I'm out of breath. It's bittersweet today because it's our last meeting and it's the last week of the basketball season. And it has been a special basketball season. Your regular attendees, you guys know that I have hit you with facts and figures and numbers and receipts, all of which pointed to one unmistakable conclusion. Well, maybe two. This has been the greatest basketball season in the history of the state of Alabama. And Alabama has progressed beyond being a basketball state to being the basketball state. To illustrate that, I want to move beyond facts and figures to feelings, to moments, to special moments made by special people. In the last week alone, I don't know how many of you were watching the second round game of the women's NCAA tournament between Alabama and Maryland. Amazing is a good word. Now, we have witnessed University of Alabama athletes step up in the clutch in sport after sport, in decade after decade. In my experience, I don't think I've ever seen an Alabama athlete face a greater degree of pressure and meet the moment with confidence, with calmness, and clarity. And when Sarah Ashley Barker stepped to the free throw line, having to make not one, not two, but 3 free throws at the end of the first overtime, knowing if you miss one, the game's over. You miss one, the season's over. You miss one, your college career is over. And she stepped up with a smile, and she didn't scare the rim. Every shot, net, net, net. She finished with 45 points, and it was a bit heartbreaking that the Crimson Tide was not able to pull it out at the end. They fouled out just about everybody on Coach Curry's roster that night, but we won't talk about the officials. But it was an inspiring performance by the entire team, and Sarah Ashley finished with 45 points. Only 3 people have scored more points in an NCAA women's tournament game. So I hope you got to see it. If you didn't, go back and watch a replay. I still get chills thinking of what that young lady accomplished in that moment. And there was a young man who had to step up in the moment yesterday. For Auburn University, we know the kind of season Janai Broome has had. And yes, Cooper Flagg is a wonderful athlete. But in my mind, the National Player of the Year is Janai Broome. And in the regional final yesterday against Michigan State, he had already announced his presence with authority. He had already proven that they could not guard him on the block. He had already shown himself to be the leader of the greatest team in Auburn basketball history. But it wasn't necessarily enough. So in the second half, he threw his body. He didn't just jump, he didn't just leap, he didn't just reach and extend. He threw his body to alter a Michigan State shot. And if you didn't see it in the moment, and if you haven't seen that frozen on video, watch how his left leg and his right hand hits the floor. He was hurt. He was in pain. Not the first time we've seen Janai go through that this season. He went to the bench. He went to the locker room. His parents came out of the stands. A very scary sight if you were an Auburn fan in that moment, if you're just a fan of people. We didn't know if he was going to return. All of a sudden, thoughts started to turn to, can Auburn hang on? Can they get to the Final Four? Will Janai be able to go to San Antonio and actually play? And as those negative thoughts start to take hold, who came out of the tunnel? Janai Broome, in uniform. Who went to the scorer's table to check into the game? Janai Broome. Who went on the defensive end and snatched a rebound with one hand, his good arm, and then at the other end, hit a three-pointer with his good elbow. He finished with 25 points, 14 rebounds, and put himself, as Sarah Ashley Barker did for Alabama, among the legends at that school in the sport of basketball, in the athletic department, in the university's history. So I want to send a shout out to Sarah Ashley Barker and Janai Broome and everyone in this state at the high school, the junior college, the college, and the professional level that's given us memories and moments by special people. Let's give them a hand. And by the way, you know what state has sent a team to the Final Four 3 of the last 6 Final Fours? The state of Alabama. You know what state sent a team to the Final Four the last 2 years back-to-back? 2 different teams, I might add. The state of Alabama. Don't tell me this is just a football state, or we will fight. All right. Like I said, this has been a great season, not only on the college level, but also on the high school level. And it's been my privilege the last 3 years to serve as your host for the high school state finals on Alabama Public Television. And we're joined today, thank you to APT, Phil Hutchison, thank you to APT for recognizing the importance of high school athletics and making sure that everybody in this great state can watch the championship games in football and basketball, and who knows, maybe there will be other sports added down the road. But the basketball Final Four was special. You know, there are about 400 high schools in this state. Think about that for a second. If you make the Final Four, you have had a special season. I don't care what happens. I do care, and you care, what happens when you get to Legacy Arena. But to get there, you have had to have a special season. And all of these individuals that we're going to recognize now had special seasons. Let's start with, by the way, 8, I think my number's right, 8 teams from the area. 4 on the girls' side, 4 on the boys' side made it to the Final Four. How good is basketball right now in the greater Birmingham area? All right, so let's recognize, first of all, we're going to do this in alphabetical order. We may save one team for the very end, since we've got a couple awards there. Let's start on the girls' side. In Class 6A, the Chelsea Hornets finished as the runner-up. Coach Jason Harlow and Haley Trotter could not be here today. They had other commitments, but we want to congratulate the Chelsea Hornets on finishing as runners-up in Class 6A. Also on the girls' side, for the first time in program history, the Mountain Brook girls reached the Final Four. That is a tremendous accomplishment. Coach Sarah Price could not be with us today. I believe, am I talking out of school? Is she on maternity leave? Is that correct? But representing the Spartans, and let's congratulate them, assistant coach Jane Mosikowski and one of her special players, Libby Geisler. Ladies. In Class 5A, the Ramsey Rams made it to the championship game and came up oh so close, 1 point short. Let's congratulate Coach Jarvis Wilson of the Ramsey Rams. And we're going to hold off. There's one more girls team, but we're going to save them for last. On the boys' side, a year after, and this is not easy to do, a year after winning the state championship in Class 5A, they got back to the Final Four in Class 4A. Let's congratulate Coach Maurice Ford and DeMarcus Williams from the Fairfield Tigers for their Class 4A Final Four finish. Gentlemen. Well done, guys. In Class 6A, also a former state championship coach and program, they finished as the runner-up in Class 6A. Let's congratulate Coach Darrell Barber and Austin Connor, better known as Woo. All right. And in Class 7A, they didn't just win a state championship. They didn't just win 3 state championships in a row. They went undefeated in the largest classification in the state of Alabama. No 7A team had ever done that. I don't believe they could be with us today. We have seen Salim London. We have seen Dwayne Brown from this team. We have honored them during this season. And of course, they were outstanding. Coach Scott Ware, the Hoover Bucks. And on the girls' side, we left out one team because you think a 3-peat's impressive. How about a 5-peat? Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. I skipped over. I got too excited. In the 5A boys, my apologies. Getting to the Final Four, getting to the championship game, again, coming up heartbreakingly short, but having a terrific season. Let's congratulate Coach Cedric Lane and Zay Taylor. Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations to the Dragons. Excellent season. All right. Like I said, it's impressive getting to the Final Four. It's impressive getting to the championship game. It's impressive winning a state championship. 3 in a row, unbelievable. What do you call 5 in a row? You call that Coach Crystal Johnson and the Hoover Bucks. And the MVP of the 7A girls state finals, Caitlin Gibson. So let's give all of our 8 area teams that made it to the state Final Four a big round of applause. We know we will see you back very soon at Legacy Arena. We know we're going to see some of your athletes playing college basketball in this state and beyond, so we congratulate everyone. And now, to tell you more about the 5-peat put together by the Hoover Lady Bucks, let's welcome Wade Kaiser for our Player of the Week presentation.
Okay, as Kevin just said, Crystal Johnson's here as the coach for Hoover High School. The player's also from Hoover. It's Caitlin Gibson, who you just saw. Just real quick, he did say a little bit about Crystal, but I'm going to give you a little more information. And before y'all start calling me a Hoover homer, they just keep winning. That's why we keep bringing their players in. Can't help it. All right, so Crystal, as a player at Hoover, won a state championship in 01 as her senior year. As an assistant coach, she won 2 state championships in 2010 and 2012. As a head coach, she has been the Birmingham Tip-Off Club Coach of the Year in 2018, 2019. She has been the USA Today Girls National Coach of the Year, the National High School Coaches Association's Girls Basketball Coach of the Year. She was on the 2024-2025 USA Basketball Girls National Team coaching staff. And she hadn't just won 5 state championships. She's won those in a row, but she also won in 2017 and 2019. So heck of a career and a lot more to go still. Quick quote from Coach. Crystal came to our program at the perfect time. Her energy, passion, and willingness to do whatever the team needs to be successful is what made her a huge part of our success these past 2 championship seasons. And before I get into her stats, y'all need to understand, Janai Broom's not the only tough person, and they don't have whatever witch doctor Auburn has in their locker room that keeps bringing people back. After they get hurt and they go to the locker room, they're always coming back, and they can play through it.
Spoken like a true former Alabama player.
It's just happened a lot, I'm just saying. But anyway, I digress. She tore her labrum in the 3rd game of the year. Played the whole, 33 games after that? 36 total games. 3rd game of the year, she tore her labrum and played the rest of the year, just had surgery after the season. And while doing that, she finished her high school career with 1,906 points, named 7A All-State 2 years in a row, her junior and senior year. She was named to the Alabama All-Star team at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, finished with 17 points, 4 rebounds, in the Alabama win on March the 8th. And she was the finals MVP with a torn labrum and was on the 2024 and 25 regional all-tournament team. She's in the National Honor Society as well. And Caitlin has signed to play at Shelton State Community College. Our Player of the Week, Caitlin Gibson.
Okay. Sorry, guys. So, good afternoon. First, I want to thank the Birmingham Tip-Off Club for this incredible honor. I am truly grateful for this opportunity. To start, I want to thank God because without him, I wouldn't be here in the first place, and I can't do anything without him. To my parents who are with me today, your unwavering love and support mean everything to me. Thank you for pushing me to give 110% in everything I do. To my family, I'm grateful for your constant encouragement and for always being in my corner. I also want to express my gratitude to all my trainers, especially Coach Marcus Anthony and UJ, for their dedication and guidance throughout my journey. A special thank you to Coach Crystal and my teammates, not only for helping me grow as a player, but for shaping me into a better person. This award is just not mine, but it's a reflection of my entire team. They have taught me what it means to be a champion and have trusted me to play my role at the highest level. I couldn't have done without them. It is truly a great honor, and thank you.
Caitlin, you are a true inspiration, and we wish you a speedy recovery. Now I'm proud to say that I have something in common with one of the best basketball players in the state. I too tore a labrum, not once but twice, and after 6 months I could barely pick up a Milo's jug of tea. I have a feeling your rehab is going much better than mine. Congratulations again. Now, another one of our all-stars, our starting five, Mr. Bricks, Buckets, and Basketballs, Jim Conrad.
Wow, a lot of applause here. We presented a lot of awards today, but we have an award that we give out, in fact, 2 prizes for our members for picking. We have 15 games, and everybody gets to pick, and we go give an award for, we have a basketball we give out, and it's going to be signed by our panel today. So don't leave without signing the ball. I mean, this will be a valuable ball with this ladies group up here signing the ball. It's very valuable. So I'm going to do the winner first. Now, what's unusual about this week is that everybody was above 50%. I think everybody was picking the number 1 ranked teams to go all the way, which they did, so it helped the score. Anyway, the winner with 96%, this one, Nick Weldon. Is Nick here? Huh? No? Okay, too bad. Must be present to win or to lose. All right. And there was a tie. The second place winner based on the tiebreaker was Houston Kennedy, but Houston won it last week, and I'm not giving it to you, Houston. Now look, if I give you this ball, don't throw it on the stage.
I'm not. I got a torn rotator cuff.
Well, that's what happened to you last week.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure they saw it.
Yeah. All right, congratulations, and he will get the ball up there to sign it. Hold on. Okay.
I did that right.
I knew that was going to happen. Now, I saved the best for last, and that's the one that wins a brick that we give, and it's we have it with a little plaque. Congratulations on your big brick, Birmingham Tip-Off Club, and it goes to unbelievable Jim Conrad. That's me. I've always wanted one of these bricks. So I had 66%, and I still want a brick. All right. Thank you very much. It's been a great year.
Thank you, Jim. Ladies, if you'll make your way to the front of the stage, we'll get our panel set up. And to speed things along, I'm going to introduce them as they're getting set. Right here on my immediate left, this is Coach Carly Coons from Samford University. We know the kind of quality people that Martin Newton hires at Samford, and Carly certainly fits in that mold. This is a bittersweet story. In her first season at Samford's coach, they won the SoCon, they earned the NCAA tournament bid, and then came COVID. And there was no NCAA tournament, sadly. But Carly has done a great job there. She also was an outstanding player. She played at Valdosta State. She was the WBCA honorable, she was a WBCA honorable mention All-American. She scored 1,133 career points. Carly Coons. We're going to stay on the coaching side. Coach Christy Curry from the University of Alabama. Christy finished her 12th season at Alabama, her best season to date. Alabama had 24 wins, a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. As I mentioned, came oh so close to getting back here to Birmingham, to the regional, but just an inspiring season. Under her leadership, Alabama's played in the NCAA tournament 4 of the last 5 seasons, and she has won more than 500 games in her career. She's also been to the Final Four, 2 Elite Eights, and 4 Sweet 16s, Christy Curry. Where's Jill? Jill Bodensteiner. Jill, did I get that right? Well, no. It's either yes or no. Let's get it right. Listen, as with the last name Skarbinski, I'm sensitive to these things. Bodensteiner. Jill Bodensteiner, everyone. She is the vice president and director of athletics at St. Joseph's University. Is that the Hawk will never die? Well, that's what happens when you run into teams from a basketball state. Jill oversees the 20 St. Joe's NCAA Division I men's and women's varsity sports. They are a member of the Atlantic 10 Conference. Prior to St. Joe's, she spent 20 years at her alma mater, the University of Notre Dame. Do we have any Fighting Irish fans in the house? We did a couple of weeks ago. Do we? There we go. Yes, ma'am. And Jill has received her Juris Doctorate from Washington University Law School in St. Louis, and she serves on the NCAA Women's Basketball Committee. Jill Bodensteiner. Amanda Braun on my right, your left. Amanda is finishing her 12th full year as the Director of Athletics at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Any reason why the state of Alabama might feel good about the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee? Any coaches still at work in this state who learned a few things there? Amanda is the first ever female to hold the position of AD at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. She was named the NCAA Division I Nike Executive of the Year by Women's Leaders in College Sports in August of 2023, and she currently serves as the Vice Chair of the NCAA Women's Basketball Committee. Amanda Braun. And our moderator for today, Tiffany Daniels. Tiffany's been an associate commissioner of the Southeastern Conference since 2013. She has oversight of the league's sports administration and championship programs, including Olympic sports, softball, and women's basketball, their budgets, scheduling, and officiating. She played basketball at the University of Georgia, where she started not 1 but 2 Final Fours in her playing career. And she was recently named Women's Basketball Coaches Association Administrator of the Year. Please welcome Tiffany Daniels. Tiffany, take it away.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So, what an esteemed panel we have today. I'm really excited about the opportunity to spend some time with this group. So I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to start with our coaches. Carly, start with you. Can you share an update on your season and just kind of what is the outlook for your team moving forward as we transition out of this season into next season?
Sure. Yeah, this year was somewhat I would consider a rebuilding year, although with the portal, it almost feels like every year has become a rebuilding year. We lost 2 significant scorers, and so we spent most of the season starting 2 freshmen, 2 sophomore on the floor, which is really exciting for us. By the end of the year, I think we really got some momentum going, got some kids back from injury, and finished our conference season really strong. Moving forward, we're returning 8 of our 9 kids. We only lost 1 in the portal, which is really exciting. Returning 3 all-conference players, which to me speaks volumes about the culture in our locker room, that these kids want to stay a part of what we're building and really believe in Samford, believe in the culture of our team, believe in more than just basketball that Samford offers, but the full experience. And so I'm really excited. We're recruiting now out of the portal, obviously, and hoping to add maybe just 1 or 2 players, but really excited about moving forward into next year with our roster.
That's awesome. Thank you. And so I'm going to ask the same question of you. So Coach Curry and I have the opportunity to work together. I oversee women's basketball for the conference. So we spend a lot of quality time together. But can you tell everybody else about your season this year and like, what does it look like moving forward?
We do get to work together a lot, and it's a lot of fun, and appreciate your leadership and what you do for the SEC. You know, we finished the season with, 24 wins, and obviously a 5th seed in the NCAA tournament. Fell a little bit short. Our goal was to get back to Birmingham and end up in Tampa, but I'm so incredibly proud of our young women. We, like Carly, have done a really good job with our grit, gratitude, and love at Alabama. That's what our culture is about. And right now, today, at this moment, we feel great about securing our current roster. We will return 8 young ladies, and actually 3 that were out, and 2 were starters possibly. So we had lost them from the get-go of the year, but we're excited about who we return. We've added the number 12 class in the country with 4 incredible freshmen coming to Tuscaloosa. And so we're so excited about the future. But beyond the future, I'm so incredibly proud of our current roster. I know Kevin had mentioned Sarah Ashley Barker, and what an ambassador for this state, our university. She represents everything that's good about girls in sport, and what she has done for the state, our university. We finally talked her to come on back over there from Georgia, come home. In the last 3 years, she'll leave Alabama with her master's degree in sport management. She is listed on the draft board. We have 3 players that are, in Aaliyah Nye and Zay Green, so we're excited about those 3 in their future. Gianna Cunningham, and then Christabel Azuma. But 4 of the 5 will leave Alabama with 2 degrees. And at the end of the day, we're incredibly proud of those young women, not only the wins, but more importantly, impact they're going to make out in the world. I do want to recognize 2 former players, Crimson Tide, Crystal Johnson and Leslie Claybrooks. We've got 2 alums in the building that we want to continue to represent the past, and we're so excited about the future of Alabama women's basketball. And so like Carly, I have so much respect for what she's done, and we're so proud to both be representing the state of Alabama and growing the game in this state. And so we're excited about the future and where we're headed.
I love that you both talked about, it's more than just about the X's and the O's and how many points they score, but we're sending leaders out into the world, which I think is really, really important, that often gets overlooked on a pretty regular basis. And I appreciate the support that you all provide for your young people. Transitioning a little bit back to the X's and O's, I'm kind of excited about this. The Southeastern Conference hasn't hosted a women's basketball regional, to my knowledge, ever. And so the ability to bring the regional back, or bring the regional here to Birmingham, we've done some men's postseason before, but not women's. And so the ability to bring the regional here to Birmingham, I think is pretty awesome, and speaks to how important women's basketball has become, not only in this state, but certainly the Southeastern Conference has always been strong from a women's basketball perspective. Can you both talk about a little bit, like what the importance of having the regional in your own backyard? What does that mean to you?
Want me to go first? You go first.
Well, you were hoping to be playing in it, so you should have been.
You're
but
in the city.
No, I just think it's awesome. I think what a cool opportunity. I mean, Birmingham is the basketball is just, it's a powerhouse. Obviously, what high school has done here, and just the colleges, and it's been really neat. My players volunteered. They got to partake in a lot of the things at the tournament. One of my players was in the press conferences, and so just what a unique experience for kids around here to be able to. My own children, I've gone to the games, and you just have watched this women's basketball grow here, and the support, the recognition that we are getting is remarkable, and it's well deserved, and I just hope it continues to grow.
Absolutely. I think it's been a lot of a lot of fun for me the last 12 seasons to see how the game has grown in the state, both at the grassroots level all the way up to the collegiate level, and what the city of Birmingham has done. In Legacy Arena, the facility, oh my goodness, it's absolutely incredible. And to see, the G League team that Leslie leads, and to see the Southeastern Conference and the success we've had across sport. It's a beautiful facility. I know so many of you in this room have helped to take Legacy Arena to where it's at so we can host events like this. The city, what it's done to grow. Y'all, I've heard from so many little girls, so many families that are so excited about the event being in town. And I know a lot of our players have been down, and we're excited for South Carolina to represent the SEC. And tonight, I'm married to an Aggie, but I will have my horns up for the SEC. But we're so excited about, just what Legacy has done. You see how the boys and girls state tournament, it's an incredible event. And to see how our city supports in the region, I think it's only going to continue to help bring events to this area.
That's awesome. I appreciate that perspective. So Amanda and Jill, you both have had the unenviable task of being a part of the selection process. So can you give us and I don't know who wants to start, this is a question for you both, but give us a snapshot of the selection process and how teams ended up in Birmingham. What did that look like?
I think we're going to tag team, and I'm going to start. And so I'm going to tell you about the whole year, and then Amanda will tell you a little bit about the week of selections. So first of all, the committee's made up of 12 administrators from around the country. Amanda's finishing her 4th year and will be our chair next year. Congratulations. And I'm on my 2nd stint. I served for 2 years when I was at Notre Dame, served with Leslie on the committee, and now I'm in year 3 of 5, so we each get 5-year appointments. So during the course of the year, we spend a lot of time thinking about things like the format, the 2 regionals versus 4 regionals, and first and second round hosting, and just sort of growing the game. We partner very closely with ESPN, so that's a lot of summer and fall work. And then we each get, so the 11 members, other than the chair, are assigned conferences. So I had 3 conferences I was primary on, and 3 that I'm secondary on. And I probably watch 200, 250, 300 games or parts of games. I use Synergy, so boop, boop, beep, beep, little technology, can watch them really quickly. And then I'm secondary on 3 more conferences. So then we are sort of responsible for educating and reporting out on those teams to our other committee members. So about 4 times a year, we meet with the conference office. So if I had the SEC, we would talk to Tiffany 4 times during the course of the season and say, how are things looking? Who are your strongest teams? Who do you think should be in contention for at-large bids? So we really spend the year watching games, educating ourselves. We have 12 factors that guide us in determining which teams get at-large bids. And then we all gather in the great city of Indianapolis in March, and I'll let Amanda take it from there.
Can I technology, is that on? Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks for the warm welcome here in Birmingham. I've never been to the city before, and I've really enjoyed my time so far, and very hospitable and doing a great job hosting SEC in your city, so thank you for that. Yeah, I would say going into the week, one of the things I will tell you about my time on the committee that I did not realize is that it's much more than selecting, seating, and bracketing the field. We're learning about, as Jill cited, the growth of the game, the health of the game, the marketing, the tickets, the social media aspects, the television agreements and things like that. So that's been a real honor to be a part of that at a time right now in women's basketball. But we do land in Indianapolis, and we camp out at the Hyatt literally do not leave that building. I think Jill and I have escaped for some walks in the mornings or evenings, but first day is business. We hear we land Tuesday. Wednesday is a full business day. They give us updates on setup for the tournament, what's coming, some updates from the NCAA staff on a variety of issues, some of which involve legal updates that are happening in the world that we should be aware of as a committee. And then we begin our work of parsing out all of what we've done through the year. And you probably know we do a reveal of the top 16 twice late in the season. And so we kind of pick up from there and give kind of report outs from our conferences that we've been monitoring throughout the year. And then we really do utilize a lot of technology. We are provided a lot of data, a lot of information that's very helpful to us, so that we're sure that we have the information right, that the teams that have been participating, we know who they played and how strong the conference that they're in and how strong of a schedule they've had. And so we begin, really it's an iterative process, right, Jill? I mean, you dump in teams, you talk about them, and then you put more in, and you figure out who belongs in addition to now the 31 AQs. So there's 37 at-large opportunities, and pretty quickly that list winnows, and you're left with some of the most difficult decisions, which are those that are being made on the Friday, Saturday before Selection Sunday. Who are the last teams that are in. And now that you see the reveal 1 through 68, this is very heavily scrutinized for us, so we take it very seriously anyway, but now that that's all public information, we want to make sure we get it right. So we'll go in and scrub all of the lines and make sure we have it right, comparing teams against one another. It's a grind. It's a bit of a grind, I will tell you. But by Saturday, we're in the position where we are doing the seeding and then the bracketing, so that we're ready for Sunday when all the games are completed and we're ready to reveal the bracket. What did I miss, Jill?
Great overview.
I'd like to mention as well, so that selection committee is doing this in addition to their day jobs. So, you remember during the introduction that both Jill and Amanda run athletic departments, in addition to the 300 some odd games that they have to watch. And there are, 12 members of the committee that are doing that throughout the year. And so it's yeoman's work, and I certainly appreciate the work that you all do. I'm going to transition just a little bit. So over the course of, let's take us back maybe to last year. We kind of had the Caitlin Clark effect, which the way that I like to look at that is women's basketball was burgeoning. There's always been a really big grassroots effort associated with women's basketball, and we got to a place where there was the Caitlin Clark effect, and certainly Angel Reese was a part of that as well. And there was this convergence of eyeballs and the quality of the game, and we've just seen so many more good teams. So from your perspective on the selection committee, how has the landscape of college basketball changed in terms of parity? Because I think that certainly has been one of the things that I notice more. There's so many more really, really good teams, and the talent is really spread out, which is awesome. And so what does that mean for the tournament field, and how does that affect your seeding? How have you seen that change over your tenure as members of the selection committee?
Yeah, I agree, and it's been really fun to see, obviously, the exponential growth of the game, and I'm going to refusing to measure the success of women's sports by exactly how many eyeballs and exactly how many tickets we sold this year, because you can feel it. You know it. You know women's basketball, women's sports have really had a transcendent moment, and so I love it. It's overdue that people are respecting and appreciating the amazing athletes that our young women are. So, you know, parity's a tough thing. I feel like, you know, hey, we got 3 Ivy League teams. We're in the tournament this year. That's exciting. They're not even in the NIL game for the most part. But then you do look at the future in this House settlement, which is going to be decided on April 7th. I'm a recovered lawyer, by the way, so I could talk about this for 7 hours, but Amanda will stop me. And so, you know, are the haves having more and the have-nots having less? You know, I'll be very interested to see how this plays out in the coming years. You know, we've had Sweet 16s on both the men and the women's side that had fewer Cinderellas than we've ever had. Is that the beginning of the NIL money taking hold, and you know the highest bidder is getting the best players and the best coaches in many sense, other than Carly and my coach. And so I'll be very interested to see once the House settlement is implemented, assuming it is, and there's this salary cap of $20.5 million a year, I'll be very interested to see how big schools, Power 4 schools, are spending their cap dollars on women's sports and what it does from a parity perspective to those of us who don't have anything near. I mean, our institution, and I suspect Carly's and Amanda's, subsidizes our athletic department to the tune of 80%. Right? That's the norm. We spend 20 million, we bring in 4 to 5 million. And that's the reality of life at a non-Power 4. And so how are we going to keep up with the Joneses? I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. So those are my personal thoughts.
Yeah, we could talk about this for hours, and we have. Yeah, revenue sharing for us is like an oxymoron, like what she just said, revenue generation. But back to your question, Tiffany, I think parity within women's basketball begins with what the youth programs are doing and the way we're developing girls earlier on. And you can see that now. And I'm guessing the coaches here have seen that just in the last 10 years, the quality of the play and the skills that girls have now, it's amazing. And that translates, right? You get good coaching and you get good players together and you begin to see really great basketball, and that's happening, I think, at every level now in Division I. So it's been fun to see that there's so many good teams to consider for those very few at-large bids that wind up sitting on the table at the end of our time during that week. Yeah, in the NIL space, I'll just comment quickly. I continue to say, and there is some real truth to the idea that resources will buy talent, right? Both coaches and student athletes. But I also know unless we make the game longer, there's only so many minutes to go around. So we're going to have student athletes, they're going to come to us because either that didn't work out for them or they really understand this is where I belong at what I would call mid-major. And yes, Bruce Pearl did come through Milwaukee, as did Bo Ryan. So we're always looking for our next coaches to take the next step. And that's okay with us. We understand that. We want to be as great as we can be where we are and stay true to our values while we're doing that. So a little bit different world than what maybe you all are seeing every day, particularly within the SEC.
I'm going to stay with the theme of parity for our coaches. Can you share your thoughts on what's fueled the distribution of talent across the Southeast as well as across the country, and what are you all seeing in the recruiting space as well?
I think Amanda alluded to it. It's more little girls playing at an earlier age and the opportunity to play, whether it's leagues, it's the fundamental time, so many more high school grassroots programs. And I know from when I was younger, we didn't have the opportunities that they're having now. And so not only with women's basketball, but just participating in women in sport and the opportunities that are out there at a younger age. So, you know, I think you're seeing more little girls that are playing at an earlier age, the development that goes into good coaching. So therefore, there's more talent out there for us to choose from.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, I've got young daughters, so I get to witness it every day, and their joy in just watching basketball on TV. I mean, my daughters have watched every single game. They are huge SA fans. Sad we didn't get to watch her play in person. Well, I've coached against her, so I know what that feels like. But I'm really proud. I'm interested to see how it affects the mid-major. You know, we already kind of feel it's interesting because sometimes our really good players want to level up and our players that don't play as much want to level down. So we're kind of in this middle ground where we get hit from both sides. And, you know, I'm really hoping it kind of moves into we find players that you know, want the experience and the opportunity to get on the floor more than they want to put money in their pocket. And that's kind of what we're searching for. And there's more and more of that out there. I think more people, as they kind of work through this and feel what it feels like to be at that level and want a different experience. I'm hoping that some of that filters down and we get to coach some really talented players that can be elite at the mid-major level.
I'm going to get back to this year's tournament. Would you all not agree that we've seen some really great games in this year's tournament? Great games. Great games. And so one of those we talked about earlier with Alabama playing at Maryland. I was sitting there eating candy because my nerves were bad because it was such a tight game. It was an awesome game. And so in the Sweet 16, Christy, you took Maryland to double overtime on their home court. On their home court, full of their fans, yelling and screaming. Then they went on to lose to South Carolina when they got here to Birmingham by just 4 in the Elite 8 to the defending national champions. So South Carolina is now headed to the Final Four. Can you talk, that must feel really good for you about the progress your program is making, right? So tell me, what does that mean to you to kind of see just you competed at a really high level with a program that, went on to lose by just 4 to the defending national champions. So talk about that progress.
Yeah, we're excited. I think our players deserve all the credit. I wish I could have found another bucket or two, or a free throw, or a layup down the stretch. But I know Jill was sitting courtside too, and Tiffany, we appreciate the support. But I think the thing is we are making progress, and the opportunity to compete in the SEC night in and night out. I was asked post game, the crowd at Maryland, and I said we've seen this 8 times all year because we play 16 conference games, 8 on the road, and night in and night out in the SEC, getting the opportunity to compete in what we consider the best league in the country against the South Carolinas and Texas and Tennessee and Auburn, and everyone in the league prepared us for that moment. And we just look forward to continuing to progress and take another step forward and represent the SEC in this region. I'll go back to what you said. I think it's important as the times are changing that we adapt and adjust, but I also think we have to understand that our job is to be servant leaders and to prepare these young women for life after basketball, and that no amount of money should take the place of that, and the education, the opportunity to prepare them to be strong, powerful women back in their communities. So it's a 40-year plan at Alabama, and we're going to continue to do the things that we do and help them grow and develop to impact our world in a better way with their degree and the experience they have as being a student athlete. So I think we're trying to find a happy medium with that, all of us are. So, but gosh, guys, we're so excited about what we're doing at Alabama, the Southeastern Conference, and really proud to be just a small part of it.
I was courtside with Tiffany at Coach Curry's game, and I just have to say, I've worked with dozens of women's basketball programs and coaches in my 5 years of doing this. There is nobody who you would be more proud of. The way she leads, the way she represented the great university, her young women, respectful, integrity, everybody, so many people are just wanting to take their shots at what's wrong in this world, and to have someone like Coach Curry just say thank you. You all should be incredibly proud of her and her leadership.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
100%. And so I'm going to ask one more question, and I think I'm looking at, we have question and answer period, yeah? Okay. So my last question is this, for everybody. What we've seen over probably the last, 5 years, I'm going to use COVID as kind of a flashpoint, if you will, for a groundswell of support around women's sports in general. So I think the NCAA has been making some efforts certainly to highlight women's sports, specifically women's basketball. So talk a little bit, each of you, about how you feel about the increased visibility of the women's tournament, the women's basketball tournament, and certainly for the coaches in particular, how has that affected your programs, and how do you feel like it has uplifted not only the sport, but just women and young girls in general?
Go ahead. Well, I think it's important. I feel like I have a responsibility to make sure that we continue to grow our fan base in our community, which ultimately impacts across our sport. And that, the opportunity to see fearless young women compete at the highest level And I just think it's amazing to see how our game has grown from an attendance standpoint on our own campus and across the SEC. So it's our responsibility as coaches, as leaders, to continue to take that mission every day. And we need everybody in this room, whether it's Carly's program at Sanford or y'all just text me, I'll leave you some free tickets. But we need you, UAB, all the different universities in the area to come out and support women's basketball. We're going to continue to grow this great game, and we need you to be in the stands to support, because it's an incredible, you come once, I promise you're going to come back.
I would second that. That's exactly what I was going to say. And I tell fans that all the time. If we can get you there one time, I promise you, you will come back. Because I feel like women's basketball, you are watching a different game than when you watch men's. It's about relationships. You want to talk to the girls after the games. Your daughters want to hug them. We send our players in the crowd after every game to thank fans, and it's about the relationships. You get behind these girls because you're watching them grow up, you're watching them mature, you're watching them become women, and I think that is incredibly special, and what role models we have on our floor for people to get behind and watch. And so same. Text me, email me, I will leave you tickets. You know, everywhere I stop, I bring tickets with me and give them out. And more people need to get behind these women, and more people need to come support them, because they are remarkable, and you will come back to watch them again because they are fun.
One of the things that I'm most proud of with this regional, and I'm going to do this little bit of math in my head, I think we've sold just shy of 50,000 tickets over the 4 days for this regional, and it's attributed to it's attributed to people like you that are invested in the sport and continue to support us. And it's also attributed to what both of these coaches just said. They make their programs accessible, and people want to be connected to women's basketball. And so I'm just really, really proud of the city of Birmingham, the CVB, the Southeastern Conference. We also are working with Knight Eady to put the regional on, and what yeoman's work, but it is you as our support that has helped us showcase this city in such a positive light. And so thank you for your support of women's basketball and basketball in general. And I don't know who's responsible for Q&A, but I guess I am. I see your hand.
Yeah, so we've obviously been in the first and second round home court for a while now, and there are, it's not an easy task for those hosting either, right? They learn on Sunday that they're hosting. It puts a lot of stress. But to date, the thought has been that the crowds and the interest and the buzz, and therefore the student athlete experience at home sites outweighs the logistics and potential fairness issues. And so you look at some first and second round sites on the men's side, and there's not great crowds. And so we have good crowds. We have really good crowds. So that's what we have to continue to work through as an association and membership and coaches and administrators together, is when is it time to change that format? Have we outgrown what we're doing now? And I think everything has to continuously be on the table. If you're going to keep growing a game, we have to keep every potential option on the table and discuss it year after year, because you raise a great point. Remember when we experimented with home Sweet 16 and Elite 8? I mean, I benefited from that. Notre Dame didn't leave home. First, second round, Sweet 16 and Elite 8. So 4 games in a row. That was a disaster. And so we quickly pulled the plug on that. So it's a continuous give and take, and put our heads back together and see what we need to do to grow the game.
I would also just add, and I see your hand, so I'm coming over here. I would add, as the person who has to work with our administrators to identify sites for our championships, one of the things that we have tried to do is to make sure that we're not only providing locations that provide quality experience for the student athletes, but it is also about taking the game to the fans, right? So you want to make sure, or at least we have, tried to make sure that we are putting our championships, and I think the Women's Basketball Committee probably has had some of these conversations. You want to take it to where the fans are. And usually those top 16 seeds, by and large, have a very strong support of fans in that market. And it's a market that is women's basketball centric. To Jill's point, we're getting to a point where we have to continue. We are always in a situation where we have to continually look at that. But I also think it is about making sure that we are continuing to create our own buzz in some respects, as well as utilizing the resources that we have with television and identifying where we have the ability to kind of have some others drink the Kool-Aid in some other markets. So that's a really good question. I saw your hand next.
I recruit multi-sport athletes. We want multi-sport athletes. I am a big proponent of that. I think it keeps kids involved. It keeps them not really wanting to burn out. I think it needs to even continue to be a force of encouragement. Like I said, I've got 3 daughters. All of them play multiple sports, and it's a conversation I have with the coach at the start of the season. My daughter's going to play multiple sports. If you're not okay with it, then we're going to have to go with a different club, because we are a proponent of that, and I would encourage everybody to be a proponent of that, because it makes them well-rounded. It keeps them involved, and yeah, I think we need to get back to more of that.
I agree with what Carly said. I have 21 and 24-year-old daughters that now are beyond their high school years, but wanted them to play every single thing that was a passion for them, whether it was dance or whether it was soccer, softball, and basketball, as we did. I thought it was really important for them to, from having the opportunity for just them from a recovery standpoint. I think so much now at our level, we see young women that are playing 50 to 60 games a summer, and then they're coming to us, and it's the longest season of any sport. And then you're looking at, we just finished 108 practices the day before Maryland, and that's a lot. And so the toll, when they just focus on one sport, and it's not only just from a physical standpoint, but you want them to enjoy their elementary and high school years, to be exposed to all the different activities that they want to be a part of. And I'm a multi-sport mom. My mom was a high school coach, so we were in the gym in the fall. We were out on the softball field in the spring, so I was raised that way. But I understand when they reach sometimes that 9th and 10th grade year, they've kind of got to start to pick one or the other. But I think at a young age, we should let them make their own choices and participate. And I think that over the term of, I know at our level and at Carly's level, that when you play so much, you start to see so many things that injury-wise, and when they're our age, we want them to be able to just be able to get up and down and be able to take a walk in the neighborhood. But you see a lot of players, that it's starting to affect from an injury standpoint.
I'll just add in, youth sports is big business. So that's what's driving it. These poor parents are being influenced by people who say, if we don't play every single season all year long and join our team, then you'll fall behind. And that's just the honest truth. It's concerning, because to a coach on my staff, every single sport, any coach I've talked to, they want multi-sport athletes for all the reasons they just articulated. Unfortunately, it's big business.
Young lady in the middle.
Thank you all for being here. I'm just so excited because I got here from Michigan, where women's basketball and men's basketball, we were all in the gym, and it was us and them. And I got here, and they're like, "What women's? What is that? And then what is HBCU?" And it was just football. It was just confused. So I'm thank the tip-off club for putting me in my place.
to start? So from an athletic department, and by the way, we were celebrating all the joys of the exponential growth in women's sports, but we also have a lot of challenges, and we have to keep grinding, right? Until women have the same access to coach men's sports as men do to coach women's, until women start earning more than a fraction of what men earn on average, player salaries, coaches' salaries, until the media starts to put more and more focus, we're going to have a revenue problem. And, you know, the NCAA, shame on us collectively, for the first time this year, we're paying a unit to women's basketball. So I just saw the story of a SEC school that loses money on women's basketball, that sells out every game, compared to their men. But part of that is because for every game you're in the postseason, the NCAA gives you a large payout. And they've never done that for women until this year. This is the first year ever there's a performance unit for women's basketball. And so, you know, it's easy to talk about. The men's unit is what, 400,000 times every game you play times 6 years. So this is substantial. So when you hear things like women's basketball not making money, part of it's the infrastructure and the systemic sexism that remains. And that remains a problem. So we've got work to do. I'm lucky, and I think Amanda's probably, we come from institutions, and hopefully Sanford as well, where our presidents are saying, we see the value whether you're making revenue or not. I mean, our field hockey team at St. Joe's knocked off #1 undefeated North Carolina, and the amount of exposure and in the national semifinal, you know, the social media, like that was huge, and that cemented in our board's mind, like, people care about women's athletics and we better keep investing in it. All of our sports lose money, so it's easy for us to continue to plug away. But you raise a really important question going forward, is how, you know, the game is getting the eyeballs. How do we change the narrative on the revenue?
You know, I'll add to that. There are very few sports in the landscape of 360 Division I schools and all the sports we sponsor that actually make more money than they spend. So back to Jill's original point about 80% subsidy from our universities, that's true for 90% of our schools in Division I. And again, you know, SEC is probably not quite the poster child for that, but there are sport programs within the SEC that they don't make more money than they spend. So it is, the way I view my job at Milwaukee as a mid-major is, you know, to do two things. These are our primary everyday focus. It's to help our student athletes achieve their goals, right, in every facet of what they do, and to help our university achieve its goals, which is brand visibility, community engagement, campus engagement, and that's the value of college sports to me. So back to revenue distribution or revenue sharing or whatever you want to call it, we don't have a lot of excess revenue or any excess revenue to share, but we can achieve those goals on behalf of our university and our student athletes.
The last thing that I'll say to that is, within the SEC, one of the things that I think is really important for us to not forget, our athletic directors across the board, by and large, really believe very deeply in broad-based sports sponsorship. That means that all of the sports, all 22 sports that the SEC sponsors, and just as a reminder, there are some institutions that sponsor sports that are not SEC sports, so they have a different complement of sports. It's important for the fabric of the university for there to continue to be broad-based sports sponsorship. So to that end, I think we're all going to have to be in a space where we are going to have to work towards how do we adjust to the new normal, right? So the House settlement information is supposed to be finalized. I shouldn't say finalized. We'll have a clue by April 7th. It won't be finalized because people will then have to adjust to whatever comes is the outcome of the final judge's decision. But at the end of the day, the goal is to continue to retain all of the sports that we sponsor and not be in a position that we have to discontinue sports because of the money that is associated with it. And so I think, you know, sports like, and I'll add to that, just last thing is, what I really appreciate is we have a partner in ESPN that is bullish about women's basketball, softball, volleyball, gymnastics, and have tried to identify ways to continue to elevate and expose those sports in such a way that it continues to build grassroots interest in those sports. So your question is very well, is a very good question. The commitment to continuing to provide those opportunities remains. It's just, what does the new normal look like? You're welcome. I think we have time for 2 more questions. So I see here in the blue shirt and then over there.
Y'all mentioned earlier how the women's game is different than the men's game, and I agree with that. And when y'all try to compete head-to-head, oftentimes the guys win. Is there a way to accentuate the difference in the women's game, to try to grow the women's game more by talking about how it is a different kind of basketball game?
Yeah, I mean, I've always seen it that way. For us in our program, we always talk about stay in our lane. We never want to compare ourselves to the men. It's just going to leave you feeling, unwell. And so us is just stay in your lane, stay in our lane and focus on what we can do to help our team, to help grow our team, conversations with our administration, conversations with our marketing, conversations with our own players. We tell them they are just as much advertisers as we are. They can get people in the stands just as well as we are. They want to come see them. They're not coming to watch me on the sideline. They're coming to watch them on the court. So they need to be promoters of our program as well. And just keeping the conversation constant. Over the summer, what are we doing? Our camps, what are we doing? All year, what can we do to help our program elevate?
I echo what Carly says, but I also think you mention it, and I think it can be looked at from a couple different perspectives. When you talk about how our game is played, it's played a little more below the rim. It's played fundamentally. I think they're in a 4-year program, which I know that can all change for all of us, but I think so too. We've got 4 quarters. We've got end of the game special situations. We've got 2 free throws, no more 1-and-1. So I think it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's not transactional to these young women. It's about relationships. And I think echoing on what Carly said about the ability to build relationships and understand the value of, the opportunity to compete, I just think it's different from the men's game. And we never ever, we want to stay on the side of not being transactional and relational and letting them get prepared for a 40-year plan, right? And I think that it's the teamwork, the camaraderie, it's really special. Our game is incredibly special, and watch women's sports. It's important.
Am I supposed to close us out? Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you to each of you for taking the time to spend with the Birmingham Tip-Off Club today. The opportunity to have this type of panel, the stature that each of you holds in your positions, and to be able to have this type of conversation is really important. And I also want to thank you again, Birmingham Tip-Off Club, for your support of the sport and of women's basketball. And we look forward to another huge crowd tonight in Legacy Arena. I think we tip off at 6 o'clock. So looking forward to hopefully sending another SEC team to the Final Four. I'm biased, I am. It's just what it is. But look forward to having you there tonight, and thank you again.